Don't like the president's health care reform ideas? Maybe it's because you really don't like the president, or maybe it's because you're a racist. Well, Bishop E.W. Jackson has heard some liberals playing the race card in the health care debate, and he's got a two-word message for them today: stop it. Bishop Jackson is president of STAND, staying true to America's destiny. Bishop, good to have you. So you're saying this race baiting here, especially with health care, is not the right way to pitch it, right?
No, and it's a familiar tactic, Neil, and it's got to stop, because we need to have a substantive debate about health care, not start name-calling. And sadly, many on the left seem to use race anytime they're losing the debate on the merits. And I just think it's important for black people and other minorities to stand up and say, stop using us as a sort of talisman that you wave every time you're in trouble.
This has been done many times in the past, and recently we heard New York Governor Patterson essentially make the same argument in an interview with a radio reporter speaking about his troubles. This is from a couple of weeks ago.
My point is, you don't hear this crusade that it's time for the governor to step aside.
Okay, look.
My feeling is that it's being orchestrated. It's a game. We're not in the post-racial period. And the reality is that the next victim on the list, and you see it coming, is President Barack Obama.
Now, the White House quickly disavowed that sentiment and that view and let the governor and his people know it. But you say damage is done every time a statement like that is made. What do you mean?
Yeah, first of all, I don't know that the White House really disagrees with that view, even though they may have disavowed it in this instance. I think that if the racial period is not over, it's because a lot of people on the left, a lot of black people on the left won't let it be over. This is not a racist country. Most Americans don't care about race anymore, but there's some people who just won't let it rest. And every time they bring it up, I think all they do is serve to discredit themselves rather than delegitimize the people who are arguing on the other side.
So what is the danger that you're saying? It's not that racism is over, it's just that constantly using it as a crutch for your own failings that are regardless of color is just stupid, right?
Yeah, sure, there are racists in this country, there are sexists, but this is not a racist country. People want to treat people like people. But if you keep raising the race card every time, it gets a little old, and I think people tire of hearing it, and I don't think you get anywhere on the merits of the argument. And we need to have debate on the merits of the argument, Neil, not name-calling.
What do you think of what the president has been performing as president? Many of his sharp critics, as you know, Bishop, have been saying he has kind of returned to the race game by when he spoke out on the Massachusetts arrest of that professor outside his own home, that these are his basic inclinations. What do you make of that?
Well, I believe that the American people are people of such goodwill that they overlook the obvious. He comes from the left. The left is imbued with preoccupation with race. Everything is about race. Everything is about balkanizing the American people into little interest groups that they can control. And I believe that the president is part of that. Sadly, I had hoped that he wouldn't be, but it seems to me by his remarks on the Professor Gates issue, it seems to me by the things that you've read that he said in his books about white people, that's where he's really coming from. I think you have to believe what he says first, not what he does or what he says when he tries to clean it up.
But, Bishop, I've discovered, even when I did critical of some of the economic policies, immediately slapped back that I'm a racist for the comments I made. And I've tried to say repeatedly, I have nothing against the color of the president's skin, maybe the thickness of it, but nothing against the color. But that argument seems to fall on deaf ears on the left. And is this what we can have to look forward to? I mean, that every criticism will be framed in that context?
Well, I think for people who see us as one nation under government rather than one nation under God, they probably will. But we need to keep pounding home the Judeo-Christian values of our founding fathers, who were imperfect people, but understood that we are all endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights. And I think that's where the American people want to go. And frankly, Neil, I think we're going to leave behind the people who don't want to go there.
Bishop, well put. Thank you very much for joining us.